This video almost didn't get posted. In fact, I posted with some hesitation now. Of the nearly 100 videos that we've put up in the last couple of years, this is the one and only one that shows an out-and-out disagreement, a fight with a horse, who really brings the battle to me, and instead of backing off and having peace talks, my decision was to go right at him and see if I could show him that it was a fight he could win only by doing something I asked him to, which was not unreasonable, which was simple, and give him some release when he did that. The process isn't real pretty, but that's real life with horses sometimes. And I have made the commitment to post the good, the bad, and the ugly in these videos. And there's some of all of those things here. There are certainly some things I would do differently, and we've done some voiceovers and some captions with this video identifying things that I think were mistaken on my part. Overall, I believe that I got more right than wrong. The horse does get to a better place, and that's important because this was done in the context of a demonstration at a summer horse camp. These folks asked me to work with the horse that they had there at the camp to demonstrate what you did to sort of amend a horse's behavior when the horse had some issues. Well, this one had some real issues. In fact, he was difficult, he was dangerous, he was threatening, and he had developed over the course of his 9 years on this planet a number of strategies to deal with the human race, none of which involved cooperation. When you encounter a horse who has chosen to threaten people, to show a tendency toward being overtly violent, you can try to talk him out of it, or if he's got those demons, you can look them in the eye and send those devils back to hell where they belong. That was what I opted to do here. I think it worked out. It wasn't all that pretty to watch, but here it is. Bottom line, this horse was primarily being handled by a 13-year-old girl. I wanted to establish in the limited time I had available to me a starting point where she and this horse could have a safer, more meaningful relationship. Stick around, watch the end of the story, watch this girl reintroduced to the horse, and decide for yourself whether the strategy was acceptable. Recall, of course, that I am not going for perfection, and I don't get perfection, heaven knows, but I get progress. This is not about an end point. This is about a starting point, and I think we established that. Final thing I wanted to say, the problems with this horse and the poor handling he had were not by the current owner. They inherited that problem. They were dealing with it as best they could, and I was happy to help them any way that I could. Stick around, see how it comes out, and let me know what you think. And I would like him to look at me like I signify something. Now, I'm not looking to scare him, but I'm saying, move out of my way. Yeah. Now, whoa. See if we can. No, Slim's all right. Slim's pretty bulletproof. I've been dragging colts around on him all winter. There. Because one of the odd things is, and I'm going to pick on Tia, but she was just saving her life. All too often, you might as well just buy a 6-inch lead rope because folks get up in here. Let's get the horse to where we can use the whole lead rope. And you could say, and it would be a valid point, well, what if he just takes off, straightens out, and jerks you off your feet? Because horses will do that. Some horses will do that. The big thing is, as long as they've got their nose towards you, they can't do that. you want to get their hind end moving away from you. If they're crossing their hind feet, they can't pull on you very hard. Now, you're not getting the message. You're not getting the message. There. What's interesting is this horse is actually, sorry Slim, quite a bit smarter than Slim. Slim's a useful guy who does not have the highest IQ. He doesn't need it. You know, he's a nice guy. He can be who he is. This guy's got lots of IQ points, but he's sort of willing to use them for evil instead of good. You say he'll strike at you?
Yes, so just be mindful.
I don't want to sound arrogant, but I have a feeling that's not going to happen. Now, I was just scaring him with this. I mean, whatever you do, you got to take away too. It's one of the most important things you can ask your horse to do is to separate, to realize that there are times you're being demanding and there are times when you're just hanging out. There. Now move your hips over. There you go, hide your hiney. Now, I bet you could just stand there for a minute. Yeah. Yeah. And if you need to move your feet, I'll make you move them a whole lot. Now, here's the thing that's odd. And go on. That's enough. That's enough. Here's the thing that's odd. I've just been demanding on him. Haven't tried to kind of babysit him through this. And who thinks he's calmer now than he was when he came out of the barn? Because the thing that horses crave, and you kids, this is something for you kids to take home with you. Horses tend to do what you expect of them. They read your intention. They know if you're serious about what you're doing. They know if you're running a bluff. So don't get involved in something if you're not going to back up your play. You know, if he wants to get sassy, see that little grunt? That's sort of like him cursing under his breath.
This sequence in the last minute or so is the tipping point. He's decided to play his ace in the hole, and that is, if you don't back off, I'm going to paw you right over top of your head. And I was equally as aggressive back to him, and this is where it's important that you don't bluff, you have to mean it. I meant get out of my way. He understood that. He got upset, he got frustrated, but he responded and he got the message. The important thing here is this vindicates my choice to create a safe space to move him away from me. Because had I been as close as his original handler was at the beginning of the video in the still shots, I'd have been in a position of danger. At this point, if he wants to rear up like that, it's no more dangerous than somebody standing beside you or 10 feet away from you doing jumping jacks. I was out of range. Had I been closer, the encounter might have been considerably more risky. So this is the point where he decides, this is not the guy that I'm going to do this to, and he begins to rethink whether he really needs to do this with anybody. Because as soon as he moves away, he gets some release. And all of a sudden, that's what's working out for him, not making the threat. So these minutes here, maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes, is the tipping point. This is where the horse makes a decision, and where this horse, who is very sensitive, very intelligent, begins to make a decision to consider a different path in life. So think what you may about being aggressive with this horse at this point. I'd never like to see it get to this point, but when it does, sometimes you have to fight fire with fire just a bit. Maybe that's too old school for some folks, but I think if you stick around, you'll see that it does bear some fruit.
So that's a little deal you can do to you to soften him up. Come on, back. There you go. Yeah. See, and I've got him just a little alarmed there, so the last thing I want to do is get him scared. You can't teach a scared horse anything. That's another little page to keep. You can't teach a scared horse anything. So you may find yourself, the horse a little scared, but then you want to be darn sure to erase it. So try this way. And let's see if you can stay off me. Stay off me. Good boy. Stay off me. Now, he's not sure he likes me, but he's interested in me. That's okay. Now, when he doesn't want to go, I just say, move your shoulders. What you don't want to do is go back behind him and try to drive him, because two things will happen. One is he can kick you. The other is you end up moving more than he does. So all of that just needs to come out in the wash. And see, as soon as I let him go a little too far, I learned that I need to get his attention back and maybe start over again. But what he's doing, you know that C curve I described with Slim? He's starting to make a curve to his body around me. See how his head's coming in, his back's starting to bend, and I mean something to him. Now, what he would do there, he would love to have blown straight ahead and kicked me right in the guts. It didn't happen. Here's another page for you guys. With horses, it's not what happened, it's what happened before what happened happened. Now untangle that one. If you do, you'll understand horses. You have to think one step ahead of them. So what we're learning about him is he is excitable, he's unsure, he's unschooled, and he's a little bit aggressive. That pawing and stuff, I appreciate the warning because he thinks that's an okay thing to do. But see, and then I'm just going to let my body go still and let him relax. Whoa. You're good. See where his hip's going? He's saying, I want to keep my head on you. And you don't want to get them like over invested in that. But at this stage, that's a good thing that he is keeping his eye on me. And I mean a little something to him. And he's more than willing to get out of my space right now. And that's
really pretty good. So what I would do with this horse is, I don't think there's a whole lot to be gained from riding him right now. I think it's more, do some groundwork, do that 15 minutes a day, then tie him up somewhere. Come back in an hour or so. Now see that? That's nice. Yep. And build this stuff in. Let's pretend he's not 9 or 10. Let's pretend he's a 2-year-old. And he's going to go to something like right between special ed and reform school. So, you know, he's a horse that if you let him go for a certain period of time in a certain way, he would become a career criminal. And that's a shame. But see what he can do? I mean, that's really nice. He is a very sensitive horse, but he hasn't had any place to go with his sensitivity except the wrong direction. And what you've got to do is erase many years of inadequate and improper handling. And it's certainly, he's smart.
Oh, I know.
He can learn.
Oh, yeah.
He can learn. But you can't let him put the Indian sign on you. You can't let him buffalo you. You don't have to be mean to him, but I keep trying to dig up these little nuggets. There's an important difference between being demanding and being quarrelsome. I'm not being quarrelsome in my hope, but I don't mind being demanding. I don't mind saying, hey, you know, you're playing varsity. We're not going to mess around anymore. We're going to stand like a gentleman, and if we need to do something with you, you're just going to recognize that it's your job. And that is kind of what I liked about Slim was, he said pretty early on, yeah, I'll play on the team. This guy says, well, I think I got my own team. I think I own the franchise. and probably he's gone through life where if he insists on it, yeah, he gets whatever contract he's asking. Well, get out your pen and paper and write a new deal.
So now, we move on to the payoff and the final acid test of whether this beginning is going to hold. Because nothing's been achieved in the long haul here. We just have a start point. The horse is getting a little better. He is miles from perfection, but we're at a point where maybe we've made some progress. So I'm going to reintroduce him to his young handler, try to help her, and you'll see at the beginning of this some contradictory body language from her that we talk about, and then you'll see her when she clears up her expression a bit and how that works out with this horse. So let's go with that section of this video.
Now, this is where we find out how closely you've been watching. So you don't want him climbing in your hip pocket, and you want him to feel just as, see how he wants to be with me? That's really good for my ego. But it shows that, okay, he thinks that's the person I can count on. Now you need to become the person he can count on. So see how he's coming towards you? Gather up your rope, just swing it and move his shoulders toward me. Do whatever it takes, just swing it overhand. Yep, you gotta be, here's the thing. You're saying, move away from me, and you're going backward. So that's the little difference here. And if I it's because you're gonna be very good at this. So you deserve criticism because you're worth the time, okay? Mm-hmm. So don't do this. Move away from me. And you're moving away from him. Step up, body language says, I will eat your lunch, big guy. Yep. And you know, that rope swinging, that's not going to hurt him one little bit until he runs into it. And that's his choice. Do you have a mean streak? Get one. You know, just for right now, get one. He's not your boyfriend, he's your ex-boyfriend. So step in there and move him off to the side. Woohoo!
There you go. Now release. Release and relax. Bingo. Now, take your hands and feel in your hands what that felt like. And keep that. Keep that in your hands. And when you ride and a horse does something good, your brain will forget, your eyes will lie to you, but your butt never lies. Remember what it feels like and go back to that later. That's called muscle memory if you're polite, and it's called backside memory if you're not. So you got the picture there? And you see how he's being a gentleman? Now, you can build that or you can erase it. It becomes your choice.